Hey, Joe here. Really excited to show you a workflow automation that I built that identifies a website visitor on your landing page, on your marketing site, and then pulls in contextual information around the person's company, who they are, their recent LinkedIn activity, and then even drafts an AI-generated email to reach out to that person because they've, visited your website and they've shown some interest in what you have to offer. So here's the workflow, and I think I'm starting here with Slack because I think this is probably the most interesting part, where it acts as the front end of this workflow automation, where you can interact with this information and take action on this information. So as you can see, I built the workflow bot that lets me know that there's a new visitor at wfco.co. That's my landing page. It's Adam Robinson. I don't think Adam actually visited my website, but I just mocked this webhook just to show you what it would look like. So Adam, CEO of retention. So it gives me information around retention, what their headcount is, what their sales headcount is. Given that I help companies with their go-to-market, this particular information is customizable and it's interesting to me. So I included that in there. And then we go down to a little bit more about Adam. So it pulls email that's been enriched by Clay, their title, their summary, really long, and then it also pulls any recent posts that Clay is able to find from that person, and I can click into it to see the recent posts just to get more context if I wanted to, in order to help me write this email, right? So Clay goes and generates this email and says the question subject, and then the body is, "Hey Adam, I was on your site. It looks like retention.com transforms anonymous online visitors into identified potential customers for re-engagement and sales conversion. I assume your target market might include people like VP of marketing, blah, 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 president, CEO, marketing manager, blah, blah, blah. I have ideas on how you'd automate and scale outbound sales motions for these folks. Can I share a quick loom?" Joe. Thank you to Eric Nowoslavsky, who actually created this YouTube video on this exact, I think, copy. So I literally just copied it, just put some of my like AI prompts in there, but the basic workflow looks exactly the same in terms of drafting this email. But I think this is where things are a little bit more interesting here. For this particular workflow, I can now review that email, right? And so this automation identifies a website visitor and doesn't actually automate sending of that email. And the reason for that is because you're not in control of who visits your website, right? And so with Outbound, you can specifically target the people that you want to target with a specific message. And so that message can be automated and you can send it out in bulk. With Inbound, you can do a lot of filtering in Clay. That's one way to ensure that your message resonates and lands with the right people. Another way to do it is just insert yourself into that automation flow, right? And say, don't send this email until I give explicit approval to send this email. And that's what I'm doing here. So I can go and click on this button, review email, which then pops up this modal, and it just checks a few things that I want to know, right? So email address, subject, and body. And now I've read through the snippets on retention.com and Adam Robinson, so I have a good idea of who this person is and what my message might look like. So here's the message, and I can edit it right here like this, but I'm just going to say, I'm going to preview it in a bigger window. Once that happens, it turns into a reply on this thread. So I can go down and then actually look at this draft email over here, right? So I'm going to move myself over here. Okay, cool. This looks all good, but I don't like how there's no capitalization here, right? So again, sometimes AI prompts are not deterministic, so you don't always know exactly the type of output you're going to get, and so sometimes you just might want to polish it up a little bit, right? So I'm going to go to edit email, and I'm actually going to edit it. So I'm going to say VPs of marketing. All right, so I've just edited it, and now what I'm going to do is save it, and you will see this draft email change accordingly. So, see? Okay, so now it's capitalized, a little bit cleaner. I think this looks good, so I'm not going to edit it anymore, although I can, and I'm actually going to send it. Email successfully pushed to Clay. Let's see what happens on Clay's side. So email receives that webhook from Slack. It brings in the relevant information and then pushes it out to SmartLead, and it also checks against other tables that are associated with this campaign to make sure that we're able to find information. And some of this data is pushed together with the campaign. For example, Adam's first name, right? Because I say, "Hey Adam," and I might want to save that as a data point in SmartLead. So if we go to SmartLead and we refresh, actually, if we just go into final review, you will see Adam@retention.com. Question, hey Adam, I was on your site, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so everything looks good. So it pulled out correctly. And this campaign is on pause, and that's why it's not sending it. But if I just turned it on, it was sent automatically. So that's how it works. Now, let me walk you through the quick sort of workflow and what that looks like, right? So it's a little bit complicated, but I'll kind of walk you through what it looks like. So as I said, someone visits my landing page at the workflow company, wfco.co, right? Excuse me. And I have an RB2B pixel installed on that website. So if you look at RB2B, actually this one, person level website visitor identity, identify your anonymous website visitors. That's USA visitors only, push their LinkedIn profiles to Slack in real time. So that's what I'm doing. And the retention team hooked me up with, I think, a month of free full access. And so I have 11 days left, which gave me enough time to build this workflow. And so I'm able to push that information straight to Clay via webhook. But even if I only had Slack, I'd be able to do it using sort of a workaround with probably like Pipedream or Make or Zapier, any sort of automation tool. I believe Adam posted recently on how you can actually do this for free. So you should go check out that post on Adam's LinkedIn. Anyways, going back to the workflow. So a person visits the website, and if the person can be identified, right, we continue with the workflow. If not, then we can't do anything because we don't know who that person is. But if we do know, RB2B sends you their LinkedIn URL, which is perfect because now you can take that information, and I'm bringing it into this person and company first table as a webhook, right? So this is the information that I got, linkedin.com in retention Adam. I think that's his LinkedIn URL. I make sure that there is no duplicate. So if Adam visited my website a bunch of times, I wouldn't necessarily want to send a bunch of cold emails, right? That's spam. And so I check to make sure that this is the first time that I'm seeing him. If there were multiple records, you would just stack here, and then you would say there's more than one record found because it's just looking up this URL. And if there's more than one, then I tell it not to go any further after this point. Cool. So I check that, and then I enrich the person, I enrich the company. So let me just walk you through this. I enrich the person from LinkedIn. So all of this information that I might want to push out to Slack, I download, find recent posts, and then should I enrich the email? I think this is a conditional based on, is person unique, which is, is this person not a duplicate, right? So I do that, and then gets the email, right? There's a bunch of emails here, and then clean company LinkedIn, and I guess some more data points on the company this time instead of the person, right? So some information on the company, and then I assign it a random cohort, and this will come into play when we think about what subject line to use, and then I write to the other table. So when we go to the other table, let's see, we have Adam Robinson. Okay, we have all this information. Basically the same stuff until we get to, okay, so I look up how many sales headcount they have. I might have actually looked it up in the previous table, I'm not sure. And then retention, B2B, persona, and then this is where I prompt it to figure out sort of who their ICPs might be. Look up Eric's video on that. And then the draft email subject is randomly assigned based on that cohort number. So it's either, hey, Adam, or hey, capitalize Adam, or quick question or question based on the number that they're assigned. And then I push this out as HTTP API to my bunch of code that I wrote to be able to do this here. You can see that there is a trigger that basically receives a webhook and then starts this whole workflow here, right? Shows this information, and then I handle the business logic around being able to review and edit the draft. If you don't have the time for coding, don't have the technical capacity to do it, there is a way to basically mimic like 90% of what I'm doing here with Slack's automation if you're on a pay plan. So you can actually build using no code a workflow that basically does this. But that's probably for another time. Cool. So that's, I think, the end. Is there anything else that I'm missing here? Email. No, I showed you this already, and then it sends out as an email. So yeah, that's everything. Hope you found this interesting, and you're taking away some ideas on how you might want to automate your workflows. And one last thing that I want to mention is this sort of human in the loop automation, where a human has to say, yes, this is good to go in order for it to actually launch, is really good for this use case, right? Where you're not in full control of the inputs into the workflow, which is the inbound visitors versus outbound. I talked about this. Excuse me. Another one would be when you're first launching a campaign, right? There's usually some kinks to iron out. And so maybe what you want to do is insert this human in the loop check for the first 100, 500 emails that you send out, and you kind of manually review this. But all the work is basically done for you. You just need to click yes, right? In order to be able to send it. But it's just a good way to make sure that the emails you're sending out look good. And then lastly, if you have to work collaboratively with your client, and so for example, if someone writes a response to a cold outbound email and you want to work with the client on drafting that email, you could use a similar workflow here where you receive a response, it gets pushed into Slack, you draft a response to it, and then the client has the final say on whether that looks good. They can go in and edit it themselves and then click on send email, and then it pushes out the response. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of insert that human in the loop to make sure that your automations are sound and working as they should in your sort of go-to-market, outbound, inbound types of workflows. So hopefully you found this useful. Go check out RB2B. Go check out Clay if you haven't, and let me know if you have any questions.